Just make sure,
It's
make
his
sure
fault.
the content is not for kids, because in your account.
There you go. All right, next we're looking at the Concordat of 1801. We already had a Concordat a long time ago in France, back in the 1500s of Bologna, yeah. So this is the next one, Concordat of 1801. Yeah, the Concordat of Bologna was back in the early 1500s under one of the French kings. This was under Napoleon. So Napoleon makes an agreement with the Catholic Church, so he brings the Catholic Church back. So he gets rid of all the de-Christianization stuff. So he brings the Catholic Church back. Correct. So he makes an agreement with representatives of the Catholic Church in Paris and Rome. And he tries to reconcile some of that animosity that was made after all the revolutionary, atheism type stuff was going on. So here are all the things he does. Number one, the church gets to be reestablished, but they have to give up any claims to former land holdings. So the Catholic Church reestablishes itself in France, but they have to give up any old land holdings. So he's not going back to the old system of like the ancient regime, right? He learned that lesson. So he's not returning the land holdings, which he couldn't because they've already been auctioned off anyway. So that's number one. Number two, Napoleon gets to nominate bishops, and they will get to pick priests. So he gets to nominate bishops, which they in turn get to pick priests. But the point is that what's happening here? The state's controlling the church, right? But the government would also pick not just Catholic clergy, but also Protestant clergy, which tells you what about France? There was religious toleration that they allowed for Protestants and Catholics. No, that's part of the second point. Third point. Charles? Oh. Well, that was Holy Roman Empire, though. Let's do it here. Third one. Napoleon recognized that Catholics were the majority of French citizens, but he did not make them the official religion. So he does not make Catholicism the official religion. He just recognizes that, yeah, most people are Catholic.
Good for you.
Good for you. All right. Economic reforms. So Napoleon's goals of promoting economic health were very straightforward. Increase foreign trade and strive for full employment. So Napoleon's goals of promoting economic health were very straightforward. Increase foreign trade and strive for full employment. So that's his two main goals. Increase foreign trade, strive for full employment.
What did you say? Full?
Full employment, yeah. Meaning that if necessary, what would the government do? Create jobs. So, he believed that agriculture was the key to achieving both goals. Before the revolution started, we mentioned this a while back too, that the France's farming and agricultural system was very antiquated. Like it was not set up in a way to basically meet the demands or needs of people for basic foods. So like they had to actually import in butter and cheese. That's how antiquated it was. They couldn't have enough people produce enough butter and cheese in France. Which you think, it's crazy. Huh?
That's for livestock.
But that's farming?
It's still agriculture.
Yeah, it's agriculture.
He said agriculture.
Yeah. But you think about France, cheese, right? They had to import cheese?
No, I think the French are like wine.
Yeah.
Well,
Wine and cheese.
Would you like some cheese with that wine? That's what it's comes from.
There you go. Fromage, come on now.
You don't like cheese with your wine?
There you go. That's why. By 1812, France had become an exporter of these goods. So by 1812, France had began to become an exporter of agricultural products like butter and cheese.
I feel like 1812.
It is a 1 year. Textiles also began to be exported as well too. As we said, France will never become a big competitor with Britain in terms of textiles. Like Britain was way more quantity over quality. Like Britain was just like churning out textiles. It's like, here, have all the fabrics you can handle for cheap. France will export textiles, but they also kind of focus on high-end textiles. They'll do a lot of silks and upper elite type textile type making. So they'll do a lot of exports of agricultural products as well as textiles that help make money for their country. Napoleon discouraged unions and closely regulated trade guilds. So Napoleon discouraged unions and closely regulated trade guilds. Thinking that if you had unhappy workers and unions, it's a great recipe for what? Revolution and rebellion. So he didn't want unions because unhappy workers and unions could easily lead to rebellion. So, like a good leader, he instead focuses on doing what for the workers? Make them happy. Get them jobs, making their conditions happy. That way they're happy. That way they don't what? They don't rebel. Crazy notion, right? So there's no need to unionize if you're happy, right? So that's all his reforms, right? So pretty good guy, right?
Wait, we'll see. Okay, I think the idea is nice, but just his attitude is just sour. I don't like it.
You said you loved him.
That was Miranda and Jerry.
You can't assume anything too soon at people.
Okay.
Always
I
do
know
the bad
he-
stuff at the end.
I know his attitude is just
He is
sour.
very interesting fellow.
We'll see.
All right. Curtailment of rights under Napoleon. Curtailment of rights under Napoleon. All right.
Wait, don't speak. Give me like 2 seconds. So I can
1, 2. All right. So there are also some limitation of rights under Napoleon too, because he's a dictator. He had to make sure that the country was running smoothly and correctly. I'm going to give you a lot of rights and enjoy them. Just don't challenge me. All right. So Napoleon succeeded in creating national laws, reforming the economy, and affirming the redistribution of land that was once held by the Catholic Church. So he was successful in creating national laws, reforming the economy, and successfully redistributing land from the Catholic Church. But no longer are we out here promoting liberty or liberté, égalité, fraternité. So those ideals of the revolution are now downplayed. Which is part of the song yesterday. Y'all didn't enjoy the song yesterday? Y'all didn't hear it.
Wait,
It was in the video.
The national anthem?
No, not the national anthem. It's a different song. Yes.
What song is that? Romance, but...
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Can you play it?
I'll play it at the end. We have time. Anyway, to maintain power and build his empire, he used secret police. So to maintain his power and empire, he used secret police. He censored rights, or censored freedom of speech. And he limited individual rights too. So he used secret police, censored free speech, and limited individual rights. But hey, you got a very effective, efficient country out of it. So he used secret police, censored free speech, and limited individual rights.
I don't know about the whole secret police business.
That's the whole point. You're supposed to know about the secret police business.
Well,
Secret. He also reestablished slavery in the colonies he had. We know that Haiti breaks free before that happens there. But he does successfully reestablish slavery in like Martinique and Guadeloupe.
Did he really have to name it secret? Like he couldn't have named it like something else so people
It was
were
probably like
the Secret
"Oh,
Service.
you should know about it."
it was probably police des secret or something like
I
that.
mean, it's right up there. It's
Police
secret.
Yeah.
But I mean, like
yeah.
he could have come up with
Wait, you get a whole pamphlet for it, like he's handing it out.
like we have the CIA.
It's the rules. It's the rules for it. Yeah.
That's different. It's
Or the
not-
NSA. NSA is watching these videos.
With the body exists.
All right.
No, stop.
All right. So anyway, He promoted this idea of republic and then empire when in reality he's really running dictatorships. Like he's promoting these ideas of like republicanism or like an empire, but all that implies something else. When in reality he's a dictator, and that's how he governs.
How did he support republicanism?
Well, he did all that when he first came to power, right? All these Republican ideas.
I was about to say releasing pamphlets like the secret police. Yeah, republicanism.
Yeah. All right, let's look at the secret police first. So during his reign, royalists and radical leaders plotted against the government, naturally. So during his reign, royalists and radical leaders plotted against the government. So the man that he appointed to be responsible for suppressing this was Joseph Fauché, this guy right here. So Joseph Fauché, what? No. Joseph Fauché was put in charge. He was the minister of police. He was in charge of espionage in the country.
Like, he did the espionage?
Yeah, he was not himself personally, but he ran the network, right? He was like the J. Edgar Hoover, right, of Napoleon.
Stop the espionage.
No, he spied on all the rebels and all the plotters
But you're saying that
to report on Napoleon. To report to Napoleon.
royalists and radicals weren't doing the espionage.
No. He's the guy who's like the government minister of police who spied on the public so that he could rat him out to Napoleon so they could be tried and executed.
Did he walk around wearing like a trench coat and like a
He probably did not do that,
top hat and, like,
but his
sunglasses?
workers did, yes.
Yeah, it's like this.
Well, like the gaucho glasses, one with the fake mustache.
Right, fake mustache. So he ran a very vast network of spies and was adept at gathering information and using it to help go against the enemies. He even kept a dossier on Napoleon. So he kept information on everybody.
Did Napoleon know about that?
Did it matter?
Yes.
Secret police,
I
right?
need to know.
I don't know. Probably later on.
You can't know. It's a secret.
Fauché was also a former Catholic priest who hated the Catholic Church and didn't support the Concordat. And because of these stances, it did like make him lose his job for a while, but he was just so damn good at spying, they had to bring him back.
He was the former Catholic priest that hated the Catholic Church.
Right.
So he decided that what he was going to do with his life is just
Imagine,
Spy.
no. Imagine him wearing like a trench coat and showing up to one of the services and just like observing everything that they do and then reporting it back to Napoleon.
And then like one of the Catholic priests says something wrong and he stands up, he's like, no!
So he was very skilled at finding dissenters and assured Napoleon that he eliminated all possible threats, either publicly or privately. So anybody he perceived as a threat, he would take out publicly or privately. So Napoleon was good. He's like, all right, let that guy handle all the dirty work. He even would arrest and convict some innocent people just to send a message. So he would sometimes have public executions of innocent folks just to make people scared of them. Yeah. Unless you're the one they pick. Unless you're guilty.
Well, yeah.
Or innocent.
Napoleon was okay because he believed that the ends justified the means. So he believed the ends justified. Oh, Machiavelli. What if he was influenced by that guy?
Is that him right there? The white.
That's, Fauché right here. The white
Look
cravat.
at looks. Look at those cheekbones.
No, he's a nice guy. Look at him.
That's like some list.
All right, censorship and restrictions. Censorship and restrictions. Press censorship became more and more important to Napoleon as he came under increased public criticism. So as they criticized him more, the more likely Napoleon wanted to censor them. And being dictator, you have that privilege, right? So basically what happens over time is that he's going to shut down a lot of newspapers and come down to only a handful. So like Paris had 4 newspapers. Each one had a government-appointed censor, essentially. So each newspaper had a government-appointed censor who would verify articles before they got ran off and published. So they made sure that they didn't, say anything derogatory about Napoleon. So they made sure that any opposition to Napoleon's policies or his military expansions across Europe that were negative were kept out the press. Only good stuff, right? Like Kim Jong-un. have a great happy leader. But hey, dictatorship, right? All right. Lastly, and the part I know you're all waiting for: limitation on women's rights.
Miranda, you're just in time.
All right.
It's just we're too scared to nuclear.
Yeah, I know. You're welcome. So under Napoleon's reign, women did not have the same rights as men, especially some of the ones they had gained during the Revolution. So women had increased some of their rights back in the Revolution period. So he takes them back away. So here are some of the things husbands had legal power to do.
Oh no. But the hell out of your life.
Number one, control the wages of their wives. They had control over their wages. So your money is my money. My money is my money.
But could he decide how much her employer paid her, or could he just take however much he wanted?
He can take how much he wanted from them. Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't get to. Yeah. He does not dictate how much you get paid, but yeah, they get to take the wages once they're made. Number two, because y'all can't handle the way money, right? What you gonna do with it? Spend it on clothes? Right?
Spend it on textiles.
Right, textiles, exactly.
Still.
Two, they could control the property of their wives brought into the marriage. So they legally control the property of the wives brought into the property. They can legally control the property of the wives brought into the marriage.
What about dowries?
Nope, doesn't matter.
What? That was the one thing we had. But that was, it was
It's the one thing, yeah, not anymore. 3, men could divorce wives for adultery, even have them imprisoned. So it was a lot easier for the male to divorce the wife, but it was nearly impossible for the wife to divorce the husband. All right, we'll stop there. Remember to subscribe.